Hello, Firm Paladins, and welcome back to Func. I'm your host, Jada Walker.
And I'm Lexia Janopoulos. We hope you had a great week. Now let's take a look at what we have coming up next week.
FUSAB's Winter Ball is coming up soon. The theme is Enchanted Forest, and it will take place at Zen Greenville on February 3rd from 7 to 10. All Furman students are welcome, so we hope to see you there.
Are you a fan of improv? If so, you're in luck. Furman's improv group, Improvable Cause, will be holding auditions on January 29th at 1 p.m. in Furman Hall 107. FUSAB's annual tag game is coming up soon on February 6th and will last until February 10th.
On February 1st at 6 a.m., the Paladin Battalion is hosting an annual Winston Hero workout of the day in the baseball stadium. Join us on our battalion honoring CPD Dan Witten's sacrifice on our nation. Everyone is welcome.
On Tuesday, January 31st, the general interest presentation and discussion about reintegrating community memberships at the PAC will be taking place at the PAC in room 116, and all students are invited. Well, that's about all we have for you tonight, Paladins.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to keep up to everything happening on campus and to watch all of our previous episodes. You can email us at func@firm.edu to submit news or announcements. I'm Jada.
And I'm Lexia. We'll now leave you with Mike and Elijah for sports.
Hello, welcome back to the sports segment here at Func. Today we have a special guest here with us. We have Elijah. Elijah, want to say anything to the people?
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yes, sir. So today we're going to talk about the story you did on your tennis coach growing up. A very impactful story. A refugee, grew up really poor. Just you want to just introduce your coach and tell us how you met?
Yeah, for sure. So my coach's name is Sam Pore Jallo, and he's from Sierra Leone, which is in West Africa. We met at a tennis academy in Spain. That's where I used to train, and he was a coach there. And I was taking some lessons, and he came on my court and started watching me a little bit, and I talked to him, and he showed some interest in wanting to possibly coach me. So I got on court with him and took some lessons, and we kind of just clicked after that, and ever since then we've been together.
Yeah, so since he's been your coach, what's your relationship like? What type of level is it? Like friend or mentor, or bigger father son relationship? What's it like?
Yeah, I mean, at first obviously just a coach relationship, and go to practice, but I started traveling with him all over the world, and staying with him. We're at hotels, we're having breakfast, we're doing stuff, and it becomes. I really see him as like a brother to me, somebody I can joke around with when I'm off the court, and it's just really close. We're really close now, and it's not just a coach, but a really good friend.
That's really good. And as we see in his story, he had a really tough upbringing, tough finding of the sport of tennis, and didn't always seem like that will be the path of his life. About what age did he bring it up to you, his upbringing? And is that something that you was shocked by when you heard about his story, or could you kind of tell? Did he kind of tell you all at once, or was it bits and pieces as he was coaching you and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started working together, I could see that something was different by the way he coached. He was very, very intense, but in a respectful way. He never, said anything bad on court. No verbal abuse like a lot of other coaches do in tennis. And I got to know him better, and he told me the story of where he came from, and how he was treated in the war, and he never wants to treat anybody like he was treated, and it's just another level of respect. And yeah.
One quote from watching the video that stuck out to me is he said, "Tennis gave me the opportunity to escape poverty and escape the war." So growing up in Africa, seeing other children having to be child soldiers and stuff like that, I could tell that would follow him into his life, and tennis is very, very important to him. I could tell because it kind of kept him away from a lot of the harsh things that was going on around him, and being able to escape from that and being able to provide for his family at a young age. Is that something that he kind of showed you, that that opportunities that the game of tennis can give you?
Yeah, something he's always told me is, show love for whatever you do. And when we met, and the more we got to know each other, he started telling me his story, and he told me how impactful it is to him as a person. And he's written a book, like I went over, and he actually just came out with his second book. Wow. So you're definitely going to want to check that out, and hopefully he's going to come out with a documentary by, hopefully the end of this year on Netflix. So he's kind of becoming a big deal now, and a lot of people are interested to see his story. He did a TED Talk, so maybe definitely check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely inspired by just watching the story you did on him, and I just want to talk about that a little bit. Like, what was it like filming that story? Someone you look up to so much, knowing he has such an impactful story, just being able to, on a smaller scale, but still like being able to interview him and talk to him and get that story out and kind of use it for your own. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this story so many times.
Yeah.
Actually, this summer I went to England and I got to see him perform, live, and he does a motivational speaker, but he also tells a story, and it feels very professional, and getting to interview him and use his story, for my class and being able to present that to people and share that was very special for me. But I've heard it so many times, it was almost easy for me to retell that, and I really wanted people to, feel what he felt,
Yeah, well, I definitely feel jealous that you got to meet him and train under him. That's just such a great story that we'll see more and more of. Like you said, might see it on Netflix, stuff like that. So definitely a treat for having you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your great hard work, and thank you for joining us today on Func. And that's all. We'll see you next week.